Hey everyone! So recently I went to the store and I managed to pick up these two types of paper, I guess you should call them. So I managed to pick up the Strathmore watercolor paper and the Strathmore mixed media paper. Now, this is the paper I normally use when I'm painting traditionally. It takes, even though it's called watercolor paper, it takes lots and lots of stuff really, really well. Gouache, acrylic, I don't use oils on this, colored pencils, inks, basically wet media is great for this. So this is my favorite kind of paper. I don't have much problem with warping. I don't have problems with it giving out or tearing. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it. But I do a lot of mixed media work, so I thought I would try out something else. The reason why I was willing to give this other paper a shot is because these were buy one get one free sale and they were only $5 at Michael's. So I got the two of these for $5 total and I was like, that's absolutely amazing. I love that. Like, yeah. And I know I'll definitely use this because, in case you're wondering, this is exactly the same paper as what I used before. It just comes in already smaller sizes. I've used a lot of this since I did the video. It's torn down a lot. It's exactly the same paper I use. There's no difference between this and what I was using before. It's just already cut down to a smaller size. I do find that I have a little bit of a problem when I tear it out of here. I think it's supposed to be able to be torn out, but every single time I do, it tears the paper a little bit on the edge. So I think I will stick with the spiral bound in the future and cut it down to the size I need. I just liked that this was pre-made for me because I really hate cutting paper down to the size I need. I hate measuring. I hate all of that stuff. But really what I was wanting to look at was this mixed media paper. It seemed to be pretty much the same at first glance. The biggest difference was this was a lot smoother. It, weirdly enough, was a little bit whiter than the watercolor paper. I don't know if that is really much of a difference. It was super subtle difference. But as I started to use them, I did notice that they were 100% not the same quality of paper. So the watercolor paper was super great for watercolors. Duh. It absorbed the color into the paper. It was easy to take off if I needed to. It was easy to spread around. It was easy to get a really flat wash. I could use watercolor how I'm used to using it. I can do what I need to do without having to think at all. As soon as I started working with the mixed media paper, watercolor on the mixed media paper, it wasn't the same. The paper definitely buckled a lot, like way more than the watercolor paper did. And I think that once it dried, it was pretty flat again, but I don't like when it buckles when I'm painting. Also, the watercolor was spread out and mixing in weird ways. I couldn't get a flat wash with it and I couldn't use it quite how I liked. I also felt like if I had done like multiple layers of watercolor on that paper, it would have deteriorated the paper, whereas I don't feel that way with the watercolor paper. Then I moved on to colored pencils and pen and inks, trying them on top of my watercolor pieces. I absolutely loved how the colored pencils went onto the mixed media paper. It was smooth. The colors were more saturated than the watercolor paper. It was really nice, but that's not how I use colored pencils. I really like them to have that texture and to show that like there is colored pencil on top of this. So for my preferences, the watercolor paper won once again. The pen and ink, I really didn't notice too much of a difference between it on the two of them. It took super well to both. I liked it on both. It showed up on both, on top of the color pencil and the watercolor that it was already sitting in. I just did a little test with both, the same image on both of them, and what I managed to do is I have the washi tape is different colors for the two different ones so that throughout the whole entire video you can tell which is which very easily. I am super happy with the paper. I don't think I'm ever going to buy the mixed media paper again. In fact, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to use to finish it up. I'm gonna try gouache, I think, on it next and see how that works out, but I don't want to do watercolor on here again. But I've already used up over half of this little band of paper and I absolutely love it. I'm almost out of my other one too, and it's just, it is what it is. If you guys have any more questions about this, feel free to comment them down below. I am really happy to have gotten to test out this different paper. I absolutely love Strathmore paper. I think it's absolutely great. I do, funny enough, use their mixed media sketchbook. It's the 500 series and these are the 400 series. So technically this is like a level up or whatever you want to call it. I've used their 500 series watercolor sketchbook as well. Absolutely amazing. If I could use that paper, I would use that paper for everything. I would be willing to buy the watercolor paper again in the 400 series because that's what I use almost every single time, and the mixed media paper in the 500 series, but not the 400 series for watercolor use. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you check back in the future, and I'll see you later. Bye.